Now please welcome another cotton and Narrabri person, Dr. Guy Roth, who's going to talk about irrigation systems.
Thanks, Mike. Well, g'day everyone. Now I've offered if everyone's wearing cotton in the room, or if someone in the room not wearing cotton, I'll take my shirt off and show you my six-pack. Everybody's wearing cotton? There's actually one person that might not be. But anyway, I've been asked to talk about smarter irrigation. And my passion since I left college has been about improving the water use efficiency of irrigation, really. And I'm trying to pitch this in an irrigated agriculture sense. There are 40,000 irrigation farmers roughly in Australia. It's 30% of the ag value of Australia. It's a major driver of regional economies. If you look around regional Australia, you can see where the irrigation towns and communities are. Less than 1% of the land mass, and irrigation obviously is the largest user of water in Australia. But I studied you all on the form guide. Even the livestock producers here amongst you are a lot of irrigators. And so I'm trying to pitch this more in an irrigation sense rather than talk about cotton shirts and all that, which I can do for hours as well. Okay, so agriculture research is a very recent and powerful partnership. Mendel's peas, when you study biology, you know, that's when genetics, only a couple of hundred years ago. Synthesis of ammonia, nitrogen, if you don't know what ammonia is, not long ago. Biotechnology in the 1990s, and in 2000, what do you reckon it might be? If you're here, you'd think it's digital ag, but in 2000 for water in use in agriculture, what is it? What's the big innovation? What do you reckon it's been? Starts with P. It's not precision, and it's not pump. I reckon it might be polypipe. This is a fantastic innovation. Number one, questionable, I don't know, but this, I was out at Burke the other day, so you see it on livestock grazing farms. This is my cherry farm. All vineyards have polypipe for irrigation, cane farms, and because I've got nothing better to do, I worked out in the cotton industry. There are roughly 3 million of these polypipe siphons that would stretch 9,000 kilometres in the industry. Now, I want to put another myth to bed, and that's the driest cliche myth. Where we irrigate, rainfall is a very important component, depending where you are in the landscape. Sometimes you'll be in a summer-dominant area or a winter-dominant area. This is very important in terms of your water use, efficiency and productivity. Typical irrigation farm, if you don't know what one looks like, because you don't all work in this area, in essence, most people pump water from a river, it travels through channels and storages onto the farm, and then there are potential pathways where the water can move. Now, most of the water goes up through the roots, out through the little leaves on your plants, through a process called photosynthesis, which means assembly by light. Now, most of the water the plants use comes straight up the root and straight out the leaf. What an inefficient process. But there's a lot of plant geneticists there amongst you, a lot of scope to improve that aspect of plant biology. Now, to increase water productivity, it's not rocket science. You either increase the yields or reduce the losses. And here's the cotton industry's track record over the last 15, 20 years. You can see over time yields have gone up significantly, but more importantly, these losses, or the amount of water used per hectare, has gone down. So we're getting a double wham, a 40% improvement over time. Now, I'm interested in technology and innovation, so these are cotton yields over time, about 50 years. And you can see that yields have gone up, and then you can see sort of events how they've affected the average yield. If you look at when synthetic pyrethroids or insecticides were introduced, you'll see this all around the globe, yields went up. Variety in plant breedings, yields go up. Droughts and floods and that sort of thing. But interestingly enough, biotechnology crops were introduced around about here 20 years ago, and you can see that yields have gone up significantly. 20 years ago, biotechnology crops in cotton. These days, 99% of the crop is all biotechnology. It's reduced insecticide sprays from 16 sprays down to maybe 1 spray. Made tremendous difference in terms of outcomes for the environment and plant yield. That's the world average yield, so Australian yields are 3 times the world average. Now, here's a bit of technology for you. I think it's pretty cool anyway, because most irrigators are surface irrigators. That's a laser level field, down to a few centimetres, as big as Albury almost. You know, that's a fair bit of technology in that laser levelling, GPS guidance systems to get the rows straight, and biotechnology plants. Just 3 examples of some pretty high technology adoption. But it's not all that flash. There's room to improve, and one of them is in our surface irrigation. You can see this uneven running of the rows. So there's been a tremendous amount of work done to improve water management. And farmers have done these sorts of things, put EM surveys to put the probes in the right place, a lot of measuring of water flows onto the field, off the field, simple measurements, buckets and calculators and stopwatches to work out your water on, water off, measuring flows. And then the data shows that this is what growers have done to improve their water use efficiency. You know, they've made field slope, changed their siphon sizes, redesigned soil characteristics, shortened up rows, done a whole bunch of things. But one of the things that hasn't changed that much is they haven't changed irrigation systems that much, which is a topic I'm going to come back to. I'm lucky enough to lead one of these projects that Jane mentioned, through this the Rural Research and Development for Profit. It's called the Smarter Irrigation for Profit project. And it's a big project with 10 activities, involves 4 industries: rice, dairy, sugar and cotton. And we've got 16 R&D partners, 19 farmer sites. You can see where there are around Australia. We're trying to work with these 19 farmer sites and research providers to, at the end of the day, change practice for 3,000 irrigators. Now, one area is irrigation scheduling. Now, I come from the school of soil-based monitoring. When I was your age, that's how you did it. With a neutron probe, you see I had low hair then. Neutron probes invented 50 years ago, capacitance probes. These are about 80% adoption in the cotton industry now. Now, it's a soil-based monitoring. Weather-based monitoring, 100% adoption, and then we're moving though to the era of plant-based sensors, and this is an example of a canopy temperature sensor, or an NDVI if you're into spectral reflectance and satellite imagery, that sort of thing. Plant-based sensing, that's where we're going into the future. Interestingly enough, these technologies were invented about 40 or 50 years ago. You've been able to, as a scientist, I've been able to do that in theory for 40 years. Well, I haven't been, but others have been. And so it's interesting, your digital aspirations are really bringing this all together and making it easier. And here's an example called IrriSat, where you can get the satellite imagery, weather monitoring, calculate crop growth over the area and crop water use. Very impressive technology, and if your name's Toby, which mine isn't, for example, I can work out where I fit in terms of yield, if I'm better, worse or indifferent to my neighbours and other growers in New South Wales. So very interesting technology in terms of benchmarking and water use. Now this is really exciting because this is going to be, I think, the next wave of change through the cotton industry. Now Michael can chip me down maybe, but we've had biotechnology crop, round module pickers. This potentially could be one. So here's the old way of siphons over the bank, invented by the Romans 2,000 years ago. Pretty good technology it must have been. And so now we're at the stage of being able to try and automate this through sensors, switching it on and off. We've had a lot of discussion about that. This is a major aspect of this project with sites in the sugar, cotton and dairy industries, trying to automate irrigation. It is significantly more challenging than moving volumes of water is quite significantly different. And then we have another aspect of our project comparing systems. So centre pivots, centre pivots, lateral moves, surface irrigation and drip irrigation. And so one project in the Guide has compared these things over 9 years in the yields, and what the data really shows is that you do get higher yields and better water productivity from from lateral irrigation systems and drip irrigation systems, but they come with high energy costs and more other problems like that, which is why they haven't been adopted as widely. That's why still 80% of irrigation systems are still surface irrigation systems, hence our focus on trying to improve that. Now I just wanted to look down the road in my sort of last 5 minutes to the future, because that's what you guys are all about, a couple of ideas that might be down the road. That particular road's at Tilpa, but energy use on cotton farms, and I think this applies to any irrigation farm. The largest source of energy use is from irrigation pumping. The largest, these things, irrigation pumping is a large energy user. And the proof is in the numbers in terms of the cost. You can see the energy costs are the second highest cost. I think there's great scope to look at alternative technologies in terms of reducing the costs of energy. The other area is removing some of the losses. And this is where the entrepreneurs, given there's a conference theme, I had to slip that in somewhere. Entrepreneurs might be. This is a global problem. Evaporation from water storage. This is the biggest loss on most irrigation farms. There's around 2 million farm dams like this. If you're a grazier or an irrigation, there are 20 to 40% of the water is lost. And we do not have a solution for this problem. This is a global problem. I'm not saying it's an easy problem, but it's a problem, and that's what research is about, solving problems. If we could come up with some sort of monolayer like this, which spreads across the water, reduces some evaporation, that's one potential technology. It doesn't work that well, but it's one approach. That technology could potentially save water in rice. It could also potentially reduce evaporation just on the soil under vineyards and broadacre crops. So in summary, keep cool and wear cotton. But more importantly, irrigated agriculture is a great little enterprise for innovation and entrepreneurship. I hope I've shown you a few examples. Smarter irrigation, I think we're just at the beginning of the journey. The Romans started 2,000 years ago. I think we're just at the beginning of the journey. There's so much more we could do. And to become a global leader, I'm really hoping that we collectively as research providers and research investors can sort of build a regional innovation network to share our experiences and at the end of the day improve our farm productivity. Thank you very much.